a very good afternoon. We are from DBK4A and we are presenting a presentation entitled Learning and Teaching. My name is Aisha Kila. This is Azwan Izwan. This is Muhammad Hanizan, Nur Hafizur, and Akmar Sahib. Learning and teaching. So learning and teaching is a process that includes many variables. Variables interact as learners work toward their goal and incorporate new knowledge, behavior and skills that add to the range of learning experience. So there are two perspectives on learning: cognitive, which is learning as a mental operation, and constructive, which is knowledge as a constructed element resulting from the learning process. So background of our presentation or questionnaire is to identify the teaching and learning methods students prefer. Some students prefer online assessment better than in class. However, some students also have financial problems to aid them in having gadgets. So the methodology of our research is we give out a total of 60 questionnaires on learning and teaching, and then 30 respondents from female and the other 30 is for male. All respondents vary from JKA, JKE, JPH, JP and JKF. So for the first graph that I will be presenting, first, I'll go through the survey question, which is question 1. I asked the student, how is your surrounding environment? And next, I'll describe the trends and changes of the graph. And finally, I'll outline the conclusion and share some recommendations. Before I describe the graph and the finding, let me share with you the purpose of this survey. So the purpose of this survey is to see the students' opinion on their surrounding. Now, let me start with the presentation. First, I'd like to bring your attention to the bar graph, which is in front of you. The bar graph is separated by two colors, which is orange and blue. Orange is for female and blue is for male. I'd like to bring your attention to the bar graph. For example, pleasant environment is the highest in both categories, which is female and male. Another thing I would like to point out is that the D is the lowest also in both categories. And final point to note is that the result for noisy, females are higher than males. As for uncomfortable, it is contradicting to noisy, which female has the lowest rate and male has the highest rate. To conclude the finding, PKK students agree that pleasant is the best way to describe their environment. However, some consider it to be noisy because noisy has the second highest answer. So for my recommendation, I recommend that PKK students work together to make their surroundings to be very comfortable for their learning and teaching. Thank you for your attention. I'll pass the presentation to the next presenter.
Good afternoon and thank you, Ain. Before I start my presentation, let me introduce myself. Okay, my name is Akmar bin Sairat. My matrix number is 07 DBK 17F1022. Okay, in my presentation, we shall see the result of a finding. First, I go to the survey question number 3. How do you like your assessment to be done and sent? And next, I describe the trends and changes graph. And finally, I outline the conclusion and say some recommendation. Okay, before I describe the graph and chart of the finding, let me share with you the methodology of this mini project survey. Okay. First, we collect data from 60 questionnaire, and then that we give out to 30 question for male student and 30 question for female student from random department. I like to start drawing your attention by line graph. For example, orange color for female and blue for male, and then the graph start at 4 for female. Start from 4, and then slightly higher to 9. Another thing which stand out in this chart is that it's went down steady to 7, yeah, and then this go and higher to 10. Okay, for distance, for males, the start from 8 and then go to 10. And final point to note is that it went down again to head and drastically decreased to 4. Yeah, decreased to 4. The conclusion, to sum up the data for the graph does not have a big difference. Some of the female and male students prefer to do and submit work. And the last, my recommendation, I think that Politeknik should standardize their way of making students do the work and how they send it. Thank you. I will pass to the next presenter.
Thank you, Ahmad, for inviting me. Good afternoon. My name is Muhammad Azan Izan bin Ahmad. My metric number note 07 DBK 16F 2017. In my presentation, we see the result of our finding. First, I go through the survey question, which is number 5. Action by teachers if students are absent. Before I describe the graph and chart of the finding, let me share this mini project survey. The purpose of 2 male-female survey is to find out what are student opinion on the needing of teaching method in Politeknik Kota Kinabalu. I like to start by drawing your attention to the table. You can see that the table has three column and 4 row. It is divided by female and male, and also the choice answer to the question. For example, make student prefer doing online class, although female do not. Another thing which then our female later have extra class to replace the absent 10 male. The final point to note is that this chosen method by make is extra work and female online work. The conclusion, to sum up, both male and female do not like having to do extra work to replace being absent. My recommendation that Politeknik Kota Kinabalu should give online work or make them attend extra class to make up for being exam. Okay. Thank you for your attention, and I will pass this presentation to the next presenter.
Thank you, Azwan. My name is Nur Hafizrul bin Alisius, and matrix number 07 DBK 17 1030. In my presentation, I will see the result of our finding. First, I'll go through the survey and question, which is number 7. Do you agree that conventional learning and teaching help students in A. Understanding a topic better, B. Performing better in assessment, C. Learning from mistake? Next, I'll describe the trends and change of the graph. Finally, I'll outline the conclusion and share some recommendation. Before I describe the graph and chart of the finding, let me share issue about the question. We decide to ask this question because we can see how student result is different when they do the work in class with lecturer present. This happens because through e-learning, student can use internet, search engine, Google to find answer. Comparing to conventional, students are more likely to do mistake because they do it by themselves. I'd like to start by drawing your attention to the pie chart. The yellow for understanding topic, the blue for perform better, learn from mistake is for the right color. For female is higher in understanding a topic better than male. Another thing which stand out, female also has the highest percentage compared to male. When asked if does conventional learning help students to perform better, the final point to note is that in terms of agreeing that it could help them learn more from their mistake, male percentage are higher than female. To conclude, the pie chart should show the both female and male agree that they perform better if conventional learning and teaching is done. I think the PKK should do more conventional learning and teaching opposed to e-learning. Thank you for your attention. I give to the next presenter.
Assalamualaikum and very good afternoon. My name is Muhammad Hanizan bin Longgang and my matrix number is 07DBK17 F1041. First of all, I will go through the survey question, which is question 11. Do you agree that e-learning is better than conventional learning? Next, I will describe the trends and changes. And finally, I will outline the conclusion and share some recommendation. Before I describe the graph of the finding, let me share with you the purpose of this mini project survey, which is to know the students' opinion on learning and teaching in Polytechnic. Now, let me start with the presentation. First, before I describe the finding on question 11, I will quickly explain about the graph. What you can see that the different color have been used to indicate the graph. The orange color represent the female student and the blue colors represent for the male scholars. The graph show the results. The result of student opinion on e-learning is better than conventional learning and teaching. To that, males category start at 5 and remain constant and increase to 7. And then it is increase to 7 and remain constant again before decreasing slowly to 6. The females category start at 4 and drastically to 1 and then remain constant. It went up gradually to 9, then to 15. To sum up, so far we can see the male student have rather similar opinion on e-learning in comparison to female, which have a high percentage on agree, and they also have comparison to female, which have a high percentage on agree, and they also have a quiet high on disagree, which shows their opinion amongst each other has significant difference. Lastly, I have a recommendation about this topic, which is using e-learning and at the same time maintaining the conventional learning and balancing the use of both methods. Thank you for your attention, and I will pass the presentation to the next presenter.
So, in conclusion, based on the questionnaires, some students, regardless of gender, both prefer conventional and e-learning and teaching. We can also see that they do not depend solely on internet connectivity, and some would do their work manually if asked to. So, for our recommendation, to be fair to the students who are not financially stable, lecturers might recommend them for them being in a group with students who has laptops or internet connectivity to perform the tasks given. Or the government should endorse in giving students free access to public computers at their institution. They should not be left out for doing online work and therefore make excuses for their lack thereof.